I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, February the 14th, Valentine's Day. Brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Going to catch up on receipts a little bit on Monday here for their regular feeder cattle auction, expecting at least 6,500 head, with sure 25 to 30 pot loads, straight pot loads of yearling cattle there. And Joplin does an awful good job there. They have all kinds of options for you to market your cattle. If you've got any interest in looking at that, go to joplinstockyards.com for more information. Catch-up sales, just like I said with Joplin, these early week feeder cattle auctions are going to have much heavier receipts as a week ago. They were still kind of reeling from the snowstorm that come across the plains there, and the bad road conditions and the ice and everything. It made cattle hard to handle. So they're catching up on their receipts a little bit. I don't think that it's going to hurt the market. There's still very, very good demand for feeder cattle out there. These out front futures prices are high. You can pretty much buy some of these cattle, not the premium cattle, but you can buy the commodity type cattle and go out there and get you a livestock risk protection insurance policy there, and then just keep them alive, put some weight on them. That's about all you got to do. But there's money to be made out there. Not a lot of room in the feedlots. We've got light supplies of market-ready cattle, but our feedlots are slam full. So, you know, guys are going to be looking for smaller growing yards and places to stick cattle. There's not really any forage for them to eat anywhere. Of course, it's dead of winter, but we're fighting severe drought through the whole plains. And but you know, there are traps that guys can keep cattle and haul feed to them, although feed's getting really expensive too. But everything's getting higher in this new Magoo administration. It's unbelievable how expensive everything is, and you know, the more expensive stuff, it seems about like the less expensive stuff that we had a year ago. But you know, this $3.50 gas, it burns just about like that $2 gas that we had a year ago. But grains are surging big time, and that has a lot to do with the drought. Of course, it's a global thing. When you talk about grains, it's a very consistent product, and you know, we've got reports coming in from South America that they're not going to have much of a crop because they're growing theirs right now while we're in the dead of winter. But you know, the grains are just skyrocketing, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. We have seen some of the mandates as far as masks and things like that dropped here this last week, which was nice. You know, I saw out in California and Nevada and places like that where they've continued to mandate that you wear masks indoors. They've got those pulled back now, and looking forward to the next time I go out to Fallon, Nevada, and auctioneer at Nevada Livestock Marketing. It'll be a whole lot easier to do without that mask in the way. But we saw a lot of result and response to the Houston National Corporate Beef Association's convention, where they did pass a directive saying that they oppose mandates right in the face of some of the biggest groundbreaking legislation to do with the cattle industry that we've seen in 100 years since the Packers and Stockyards Act was approved. And so that has kind of emboldened some of your senators that are behind that and pushing it, namely Chuck Grassley and Deb Fisher, and they seem more determined to get that deal done now than any time. They are going through the processes of lawyers and things like that, getting that thing to where they are going to present it, and they've even said in articles and in interviews that they are planning on moving that on from committee and taking it on to the floor where it'll undergo debate and vote, and they wouldn't be doing that if they didn't have the votes. So with NCBA pushing against that without actually naming the bill, if this deal does indeed go through like it appears that it could, and gets past, NCBA has lost a lot of credibility and a lot of teeth as they see the U.S. Cattlemen's Association working hand in hand with the staffers of those senators and getting them the information and the support that they need to get this bill moving forward. But what else did we see? I mentioned late in the week there that in New Mexico, the Cattle Growers Association had tried to get a restraining order against the U.S. Forest Service to keep them from going in and shooting down about 150 head of cattle, wild cattle that had got into that Gila wilderness in there. And because the Center of Biological Diversity said that they were hurting the environment, cattle were. Huh. Wow, that's unbelievable. Cattle been here for a long, long time, and if the environment is that touchy, I don't know that it was going to withstand it if we weren't here. But they indeed lost that restraining order, so they're going to go in there and spend $40,000 killing those cattle and just leaving them lay, and then giving that wildlife there a taste for beef that's probably going to be dreaded for generations to come for those people that graze around that protected area. But let's talk about your board for last week. Your February live cattle futures, Monday was down 22 cents, Tuesday up 15, Wednesday was up 92. In the middle of the week, especially on your feeder cattle futures, it was going up so fast we were thinking there was never going to be another poor day. But late in the week it come down. Thursday was down 55 cents, Friday down 47, with February live cattle ending the week at 141.87, which was down just 18 cents for the week, so not a big loss there, but it looked like we were going to have a big gainer. April live cattle futures ended the week at 146.17, down 70 cents for the week. Now feeder cattle, they were up more early in the week and then and took most of it all back late in the week. But March feeder cattle, Monday was down 107, but then Tuesday up $1.85. Wednesday was up a big $1.40, and your back months were up that much or more too. And then Thursday come back down 155, Friday down 50 cents, with March feeder cattle ending the week at 166.22, up 12 cents. I did want to mention that I had one of my Feeder Flash gang members, a good friend of mine, mentioning that he had been talking with some smart people that were in commodities, saying, you would think that some of these speculators, these investment speculators that like to speculate, especially in live cattle futures, would come out in favor of the bill, the Grassley Fisher bill. Because if we continue to lose our negotiated trade, which we've already said we're going to lose it all within just a few years, and everybody's going to be a contract grower. If we lose all that, you're not going to see your board be as advantageous for your speculators. Speculators like the live cattle futures because it is volatile and there's opportunities to make money in there if you go in and invest. And there's not going to be a whole lot of play in that thing if it's just like the hog market, where everything is just a contract grower and the packers regulate everything. But we'd like to see them come in there and support things. Any kind of support is needed. And if you go to nationalbeefwire.com, there's a place on there where you guys can get on there, and it's already done for you. All you have to do is pick your state, and it has both your senators on there, where you can send them a message, email message that goes right to their box there, and you can state your support for the mandated minimum negotiated cash legislation. Feeder cattle futures for April down 72 cents for the week at 170.70. And we talked about the grains being up. How much? Corn ended the week at $6.51 a bushel. That was up 30.5 cents for the week. Beans ended at $15.83, nearly 16 bucks a bushel. That was up 29.5 cents. And Kansas City hard red winter wheat, which is just like a whipsaw, ended the week at $8.24 1/4, and that was up 38.5. Your fat cattle trade negotiated direct in your 5 area feeding region up through Thursday, another pretty big week. 79,900 head. And you and I both know that whenever our prices are higher, we see bigger volumes of trade, and vice versa. The more volume you have, the higher the prices, because your packers are coming into the cash market, they're wanting to buy cattle, and then it gives your feedlots just a twinge of leverage. And so then they feel strong enough to ask more. And then whenever they've cleaned up their show list and they still want more, that's when you see the prices gain there later in the week, which is what we saw this week. But we continue to see reports come out that says that negotiated volume doesn't have anything to do with price, and that's just ridiculous. You know, that is your price discovery. Whenever you have someone or a packer or whatever you're talking about coming in wanting to purchase something that's at limited availability, then you find out what it's worth. Well, we found that out this week with a little bit more trade volume, and this is what we're trying to preserve, is some trade volume where we have negotiation and price discovery. But live sales of steers and heifers $1 to $2 higher, from 138 to 143, with your highest prices paid late in the week, which is good. Weighted average on live steers in your 5-area feeding region 140.35, and that was up about $0.50 compared to a week ago. Your dress sales were even better than that as far as gains, $2 to $3 higher. Dress steers and heifers sold from 220 to 227. And your weighted average on dress steers was just over 224, which was more than $2 higher than the previous week on the weighted average. Did have a little bit more trade on Friday, especially in Iowa, so we're going to have a pretty healthy week of negotiated trade volume. Iowa, 2,800 head on Friday, 26,100 head for the week. Late week sales on Friday were 140 to 144. Nebraska, just a few loads, about 300 head on Friday, just over 30,000 for the week, which is healthy for them. That's a good, robust trade level for Nebraska. Live sales 141 on Friday, and dress sales 224. Kansas didn't have any sales confirmed on Friday, did trade about 19,000 for the week. That's just a little bit off of what we would like to see them. Texas was well below their robust level, just 100 head on Friday, only 7,700 for the week, and most all the sales in Southern Plains were at 140. Box beef cutout values were down significantly, which that's typical for this time of year. But choice cuts, your weighted average for all of last week's sales, $276.31, down $7.74 from the same weighted average of previous week, and your late week Friday afternoon sales were a couple dollars lower than that at about $274.50. Select cuts, weighted average on all of last week's sales, $271.54. That gives you a choice select spread under $5, which you would think, as high as feed is, that they would be wider than that. It'll get wider than that, I promise you. But that $271.54 weighted average was $7.57 lower than the weighted average from the previous week. And late week's Friday afternoon select cuts were much lower than that at $267.83. Had a pretty healthy movement spot at 611 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings there. Your index levels based on an 800-pound feeder steer there, brought to you by Margin Tracks by Midcon. You look at your real-time index, which we put together here through Cattle Market Central with DB Auction. It's an automated deal. It all comes through the clouds. We've got over 200 sale barns that are throwing into that. It's all real-time current delivery, negotiated through the auction price. It ended the week at 162.64. Now that was up $1.85 compared to the end of the previous week. So basically a $2 gain on a 7-day moving average. That's pretty strong. And we got over 35,000 head in the kitty on that 7-day moving average. But you think that's a good precursor to your CME feeder cattle index that's always a day or two behind that? That 162.64 at the end of the week is exactly the same as the latest available CME cash feeder cattle index. Let's talk about your trends last week in the sale barns. Cash feeders pretty consistently fully $5 to $8 higher on both calves and yearlings, and very, very good demand for your 6-weight calves, even though feed's high and there's not a lot of places to put them. But you know, that people are looking out ahead, and they see that they can lock in a price, and if they can keep those cattle healthy, alive, and gaining, that they'll have an opportunity to make some money. Some of your big sales late in the week. How about winter livestock in winter South Dakota? Pretty good sale there, 3,800 head. You don't see this market reported anywhere but here on the feeder flash. But look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central. I mean, these are significant, significant prices on a nice volume of heavy calves, feeder cattle there. Look at your best tested weights of steers. 409 head of your 6-weight steers in winter South Dakota, average 659. That's all of them in the barn with a weighted average price of 186.13. That would be a big time individual quote. That's on all the cattle head, and they're weighing in the sixes on your steers. 863 head of 7-weight steer calves, average 753 with a weighted average price of 174.88. My goodness, and check this out. It was just a couple of weeks ago we couldn't get 160 for an 800-pound steer. Now look at this. In winter South Dakota on Friday, they sold 802 head of them. All the 8-weight steers averaged 859 with a weighted average price of 166.67. Very impressive sale there at Winter Livestock. How about some other impressive individual quotes around the circuit there? Bluegrass Stockyards of Richmond, Kentucky. Jim Dawes' sale there. I was able to go there, and I really like that sale. It's not too far off the square there in Richmond, Kentucky. Kind of tight quarters, but man, does he get the cattle in there and can flat sell them. 150 head, 680-pound steers in the ring, Richmond, Kentucky, 175.50. How would you like to put about $8 worth of wheels underneath those? How about St. Onge Livestock in St. Onge, South Dakota? My buddy Justin Tupper's sale there. He sold 70 head, 514-pound steer calves for $215.75 on Friday. And the best quote that I saw anywhere late in the week on Friday, it's your National Beef Wire top quote for the day. Come out of South Coffeyville Stockyards at the Tylen Layton barn there, doing a good job with that. How about 59 head of mixed steers, weighed 608 at 196.35. That's your feeder flash for Monday.